Hello everyone, welcome to the webinar on how to accelerate sales growth in 2021 using 6 effectiveness and performance tools. I'm so excited to have you here. My name is Prashant. I'm partner at Growth Aspire. Want to, for those who are attending live, there is a gift which is you'll receive a brand new ebook on how to get steady stream of B2B clients appointments fast with basically just spending 30 minutes per day. So this is a new thing we have actually published. So you will be receiving end of this webinar. So once again, thanks for everyone joining this and making your time on this Friday. So let's dive in now. So just a brief introduction, meet the speaker. So I'm Prashant, I'm a partner at Growth Aspire. So I will also be joined by Krishna, who is also a partner. So I think we have a combined experience of almost 50 man years and serving 20 plus clients, industries across actually in training and coaching professionals as well as leaders to help them achieve their sales growth. So this webinar is all about what is that we have learned, what is the agenda for this webinar if you see, what is exactly changing in the B2B sales and what is not going to work and B2B moving forward. Some things what we have observed, maybe like what is not going to work or what you have to reduce doing if you're doing, and what are the 6 factors which can help you to sales growth moving forward. This is the key thing, right? We want to know what is it going to work in 2021. A lot of things have happened in 2020, but what are going to sustain and what are the things which might work. And then we will have a Q&A. So I'll try to keep this interactive. So keep, if you have any questions, you can always ask. But at the same time, I will keep some polls also just to make sure that we are in sync. And so B2B sales, if you really see, what is it considered? Long sales cycle, bigger deals, many decision maker, many competitor, long negotiation. Most buyers don't research. A lot of buyers prefers face-to-face meeting. There is a slow to change. So do you agree, like this is what is typically B2B is considered? Now, what was also because of this was predominantly, if you see the B2B sales, it all involved in meeting people, networking and negotiating in face-to-face meeting. This is what the typically has happened throughout maybe like for many years who are in B2B sales, a lot of people. So this is the way things survived actually. For those who are there in industry for many years, they can easily relate to this. But what really changed? So the thing that came is, come 2020, the COVID-19 changed the whole situation. No more conferences, no more presentation face-to-face, no more networking events, no more face-to-face meetings. So everything got changed. So what is the result of that? The result of that is like people started to overcome this challenge of this COVID. Now, for the first time in B2B sales, I think a lot of people started adopting to what was considered impossible. What is that? What was considered impossible? Can they do selling? Can they do everything without even meeting people, without doing all these conferences, networking? And looks like that is what is happening now, which is 70 to 80% of decision makers have now migrated to remote interaction or self-service model. So this is a survey done from McKinsey. What they are telling is, if you look at this, a lot of even right from the starting of B2B sales, like identifying, interacting to, even considering, evaluating, ordering, finally even repurchase, a lot of people are moving to the remote way of buying things. So this is mostly, I would say, driven by, I would not say that salespeople want to do this as companies who are selling want to do, but the companies who are buying, the large enterprises, even the small enterprises, they are now willing to do this completely remotely. And what this also says that the effectiveness, which was people thought that remote buying is not going to be that effective, that perception is changing. So as you can see in this graph, earlier 65% people thought that it may be effective, but it has increased in August almost to 75%. And I think a lot of businesses, what is they're telling is, this will only get better. So more and more people are willing to do business remotely. They are basically want to do more things remotely now. And what this means is like, again, the tide has kind of turned now where just like in B2C, where if you really see online sales is booming in everywhere. And in the same way in B2B, I think the remote buying, remote sales, self-service model is going to increase. So that's why what people are telling is 60% of B2B buyers want to interact remotely with sellers. And 50% of business travel may not come back. This is recently said by Bill Gates. So telling is like 97% of buyers have said that they are willing to do large deals remotely. This is something which is going to happen. And what is also mostly preferred is B2B buyers have actually prefer audio over video over the phone, and this is one. So what that means is there is a new normal. So months of lockdown, social distancing has caused actually new habits and patterns. At the end of the day, whatever we used to do earlier buying, we had certain habits we wanted to do, but this prolonged month of almost 6 months of lockdown and everything, that has created a new patterns. And what is happening because of that is most buyers are totally now aware, or even they find it's very convenient to do remote buying. And they are developing new processes with that. They are basically coming up with new processor, how to actually evaluate vendors remotely, how to shortlist them, how to do the complete negotiation, closing, everything through the remotely. And what typically was to happen was most buyers used to meet salespeople and try to get more information from them. But that thing is changing now. A lot of B2B buyers want to research more on their own and then only meet the salespeople. So this is what is actually happening now, the new normal. And why people want to do is, again, one is remote buying has shown that ease of schedule. A lot of it's much easier to schedule the meetings and everything. And there is a big safety concept. And also, there is a lot of travel expenses reduced. I think these are the three reasons I would say which are really making the difference in a lot of B2B buying. So I think this is what I wanted to set the context I would want to do. But before that, I want to also tell what is not going to work now. Because of this, I would say there are things which people considered which was working may not work now, or it will reduce the impact of working. One is the traditional way of prospecting, where you wanted to prospect going to some networking, going to conferences. Those will still be there, but that may not be effective because not many buyers may come there the way earlier they used to come. And lack of digital presence. Again, as I said, a lot of buyers are doing a lot more online research. They are studying. So if you don't have a digital presence, that may have a challenge for you. And rely on existing market. Again, one thing showed up during this COVID-19 is a lot of customers, your customers started really losing their business. So you had to enter into new markets. So if you really focus on only one market, things may not work. You need to be very dynamic to enter new markets, or maybe related markets or something like that, quick to enter. And only, again, focus on product feature is not going to work because earlier people could see your products, they could see something and they can derive. But now you are going to sell remotely. Just talking about your product is not going to help. You have to do something more, which we'll discuss. And again, relationship-based selling. This is, as I said, today buyers are going to do a lot more evaluation. They don't want to settle with one vendor. So if you just have a great relation, it's good, but don't rely on that only. Anytime buyers can change now, they can immediately go to another vendors. So you can't just hold on relationship. And doing without technology and tools. And this is very important, like because you're doing a lot of remote, you have to migrate and use a lot of technology. So a lot of technology and tools is becoming more and more important on how you do. So we will see how these things you can do actually next 30 minutes. So let's see. So what are the things, 6 effectiveness and performance tools to accelerate sales in 2021? So the first one I want to say is that how your sales process and how it works on remote is going to be the most important one. So this is something I would say can make or break for every company now. How good is your sales process and how it works, especially remotely. So why is that? There is a study was done that there was an 18% ROI difference in companies following a sales process versus those who are not following. I would rather say in many businesses this is much higher, but having a very good process is much more important now, especially on the sales side. But then also what I would also say, one of the key things which is happening, as I said, is B2B businesses today, they want to, just like if I want to buy a car, I want to do a lot more research before I go and meet a dealer. In the same way, if you look at any purchaser, they are doing a lot more diligence, they are doing a lot more things before they even meet any suppliers, before they even contact to someone. So almost 57% of things people are doing. So what does that mean? That means that you got to have a very good process to nurture your audiences, nurture your leads. Because if you don't have a nurturing with this one, you will not be able to engage your buyers, and you will talk to them very late. And why studies also shows that your nurtured leads makes almost 47% larger purchases than non-nurtured leads. So this is very key. How much you are going to nurture your audience makes a difference in your sales success. And also there is one more study was done, which is by Forrester. Companies that excel at lead nurturing increase their sales by 50%. And the key thing is cost per lead is 33% less. So there are a lot of nurturing things exist, like how do you nurture email campaigns? You have to keep them, engage them in LinkedIn. There are various ways. That's the book we have given on this itself. But the key thing is having a nurturing process for your audience is the most important. And along with that, how you involve your sales process. So this becomes one of the most important for, especially for sales success moving forward, because the buyer is not going to really engage with someone who just comes while doing the evaluation. And the second important thing is focused on the right market. So as we move to more of remote and as people are buying, the challenge is, one of the biggest challenge we will start facing is, how do I get my client's attention? If at all there is one thing which is scarce today, if I say, it is your attention of your clients. Do they really are going to give you that attention for you? So not necessarily, because people are doing a lot more research, they are doing a lot more on their own. They are not going to give you attention immediately. So we have to do something to get attention of them. So your prospects are constantly bombarded with a lot of messages. There is no doubt of this. So getting anybody seeing your email, LinkedIn, or even a phone call is not going to be easy. And now the thing is, how are you going to grab that attention? So this will be a key thing. How do you really get your client's attention? Now, I would rather say one of the key things for anybody to do in B2 moving forward is, how do you bring your clarity of your whole thing? You want to clarify what you're selling so that it becomes easier to refine your sales approach. It becomes easier to get your client attention. So what we call as, you have to segment your markets, you have to target your markets to very narrow niche so that you can get their attention. And one of the things, it's simple, like how do you bring clarity is always keep defining who you're selling to. There is a lot of segments in market. There is a large customers. If you're selling very clearly, how do you want to sell to enterprises? What is the outbound sales? What is the goal? You should be secure some large orders from few large clients. If that is the goal, you have to do different set of activities you have to create. Or who are you selling to? Maybe small and medium-sized industries. You may have to choose inbound and outbound sales and attract large number of clients through inbound. Maybe you have to get a lot of people inbound so that then you can make them sales. And continue to refine your message, because the message is most important. So if you're selling to large businesses, again, the message is different from selling to medium-sized businesses. Customize the message to unique needs of large clients. Because if you are selling to 10 large clients, every client should see that you have something unique to them. So demonstrate your willingness to collaborate. You have to do a lot more work with them. Whereas if you're selling to small and medium-sized industries, large number of clients, you may have to make some universal message which is different for different groups. But again, you have to show some kind of appeal that how your solution can help multiple businesses. So this is a second very important thing, how you bring a clarity of your message. Now the third one, what's the real value of relationship? As I said, as you move forward, one of the key things is how do you bring value to your clients? So till now, product and features could have worked. You could demo in a conference or you could do some things and maybe people could easily see that. But remotely, a lot of things are not seen. They cannot even, sometimes a lot of things are intangible. So how do you build that relationship with your clients remotely? Or how do you get their attention and feedback? Because you may say that I have these great features, you may say I have all these benefits, but how do you get their attention? One of the challenges in sales, as you do remotely, is you got to understand your clients, how they migrate through that. So this is a very good picture which gives you, if you see here, people risks continues to different stages of buying, people perceive differently, their concerns different. One of the things is in your beginning of a sales call, maybe your buyer is more concerned about your needs and whatever those things, whereas he doesn't see any risk. But as he progresses towards it, the risk becomes very high for him, whereas the solution needs is that. So you have to make sure that throughout your buying, selling process, you cover these things. And one of the key things is, that's where we say, sales is about creating an environment so that an act of faith can take place. That means most of buyers are really worried about what is going to happen if I buy this solution. Is it very risky? So I would say buying is as difficult as selling, because for someone who is trying to buy a large enterprise product or solution, his risk is very high. So as a salesperson or somebody who is selling, you have to create the act of faith. You have to create that environment so that he feels very safe in that. That means you have to build that trust. You have to show him that what you are selling is going to help him, especially help him more from the value, what they are getting, not just at the business level or product level, more at the business level. And one great tool, what we say, that's why is move from being a person that explains value to being a collaborative partner or a business person that creates value. What does this exactly mean? What this means is your value proposition, what we generally say, has to become much more clear in your remote selling. So you have to make people more aware that what you're selling is not just helping you to address some problem, but it is actually solving them some kind of a business problem. You have to demonstrate that how their business is going to become better. Let me give you a simple example. So here is the value proposition. We helped one of a company where, so they were selling like inventory management software. Now, earlier they were just talking more about, okay, we have an inventory management service and we can help you to reduce cost. But the real way, if you want to make it more, is you have to make it ROI focused. So here's the way, like a market offer, which is typically your feature. You say that through our inventory management, we can staff your supply room with our employees. That's a typical feature, just like maybe a recruitment company can say, we can give you some recruitment service, or a cybersecurity company or a software company can say, we can help you with some software. But then there is a benefit you are going to explain. Our inventory will help you reduce your cost because our workers do not belong to union. So that's a benefit which a lot of people. But the key thing is you got to make sure that what's the ROI. This is something you have to make it very clear to your clients throughout your sales conversation, that with our inventory, your firm will lower its annual cost by 25 lakhs or something. This is something no client is going to do on his own. So how good you do is going to make a huge difference. And this is far more important in all your conversation. And the way to do in sales especially is, I would say, you have to keep going down. You have to keep adding a lot of features. And then you have to keep articulating a lot of these benefits. And then show different level of economic worth. Increase revenue, reduce cost, improve supply. So somewhat of these things where you have to make sure that which sounds to which client, what kind of economic worth, which is very important. You have to keep understanding from clients and put that. So this was the third one. So what we covered. Let's talk the next two things, which is, one is, how do you leverage technology? So technology is what studies have shown that top salespeople are 24% more likely to attribute their success to sales technology. And 82% of salespeople cite sales tools as critical to their ability to close deals. Now, this is important. So now a lot of tools are there, a lot of sales, but the challenge is how many people are using those tools. We have seen with a lot of companies where they have a CRM installed, but if you look at the CRM, it's not really used the way the CRM may be giving tens of options, but a lot of companies are using only 2 or 3 options, but they're not able to leverage that. So technology, but the more you use the technology, that's the better for that. And top salespeople, they have already seen this success. And second is, one of the important thing where tool, I would say, a simple tool which you should always have is, there is a odds of contacting a lead is 100 times greater within 5 minutes versus 30 minutes when a lead jumps in. For example, you get some inquiry. So you get an inquiry through maybe email, or you get an inquiry through some kind of a CRM where you have done. Now the thing is, if you have a very good technology, you can immediately reach out to them. The key is, if you can reach out to them in 5 minutes versus 30 minutes, the chance of success is increases. So this is what is actually has been studied. And even we had this in our own in a Pipedrive CRM, we added a lead. There are a lot of software now, you can immediately capture a lead which comes on a website. Now, how quickly you respond makes a huge difference. That's because today when somebody is coming through a website or somebody is connecting through a LinkedIn, don't think that he's only doing it with you. He's doing it with multiple people. So how quickly at least you respond to them makes a huge difference in your interaction with them versus somebody else. So this is going to be, and only if you have a right technology, you can actually leverage this. But this is one of the things. And let me also tell you one more thing. 84% of respondents have said that access to social platform at least once a day is more important, whereas 50% of non-users of social platform did less sales. So how many people are logging into LinkedIn for at least once a day to see how you can update your clients or reach out to some of your prospects? So social media is going to help a lot. So this is something, if you're not present, you have to be present on social media, because most of your prospects, most of our buyers are moving to social media. As I said, they are doing a lot of research. They are trying to find out a lot of what I would say sellers, because every company today, they have to mandate like multiple buyers, sellers, they have to evaluate. So every buyer is actually active on social media. So as a seller, you have to be active on social media. So now, what are the good tools any company should have? I would say is, one is CRM. So my recommendation is Pipedrive we have used, but whatever the CRM, maybe Zoho or other CRMs, you got to have it and use it effectively. And there are a lot of outreach tools, I would say. One of the key outreach, if you want to get a lot of generate appointments, you need to have some good email management tools or a scheduler tool. And the LinkedIn is one important tool I think everyone should use, maybe a navigator also. Organizing tools, sales is going to be in the remote, you will have a lot of calls, a lot of meetings scheduled. How would you organize your sales calls? How would you organize your presentations? So you got to have use those things. And finally, video tools. How would you do on a video? This is the most important also you have to do. And this is all about the technology one. And then what are the new tools and skills that matter? The skills really matter. I think when it comes to remote selling especially, I think there are some skills really needs much more important, and some skills you can manage the way you had it in the face-to-face itself. So especially one of the skills is, I would say, make the customer hero, what I say. So be attuned to your customer needs and motivation. And how do you do that is listen to your customers. A lot more listening to your customer makes a huge difference. And what again, there is one firm which is long, they do this AI conversational platform, all the sales calls. They might have recorded like 10,000 or maybe a lakhs of sales calls. And what they have found out is, the top performers, what they do is, they talk for 46% and listen for 54%. This is the thing, they listen more. And also during the sales call itself, I would say, in the initial part of your conversation with maybe you're listening more than 60 or 70%. During presenting, of course, you will talk a little more than your, but again, in the end, objections and all, you again start listening. So listening is the most important thing is happening. So that is one thing you have to, going to be more and more important. Every good salesperson is a good listener. Now, the second important thing is, as I said, make customer hero in all communication. In the remote selling, again, a lot of customers want to know whether you have understood them. They don't want to really see that. They want to know that the product or company, those things, they will all come later. First, you have to make them feel that you have understood your customer. So in your communication, keep the client as the first thing. So keep talking about their problems, keep talking about their challenges, and make them understand that you are you can solve their issues. And one of the great skill which is important required is obviously the video ones. So if you want to do 53 clients actually meeting take place over video. Now it's happening already. And what again, one more study says that 127% higher deal success rate when video is on. So this is something we have worked with a lot of almost thousands of salespeople. Maybe Krishna can also add. One thing is a lot of people have a hesitancy to go out on video. They do the video conference, but they don't on their video. But the real thing is if you are doing a sales, you better keep your video on. So because that increases your huge success rate, people want to see you and you can make a lot more connection with your clients when you keep your video on. So Krishna, do you want to add anything on this?
Absolutely. I think one of the things which happens whenever video is not on, they are not able to see the body language. My only request is whenever you are doing a video conferencing or something, the best way is the people should see your hand. My request is whenever you do video conference, keep your camera 1 arm distance so that people can see that your hands, your body language, everything can happen. That itself will help you to build up rapport with customer. That's it, Prashant. Go ahead.
Okay. So I think I will give you some quick tips on video. Well, I think if you are doing a sales presentation, especially like set up like you are going to a TV interview, you prepare yourself very well. Make the tech aspect very easy, especially sometimes some customers may not be aware, so you can help them quickly. And a lot of the testing of this video, have a clear agenda. This is very important. Record and review. You got to have your sales presentation completely recorded and reviewed. And again, be a 70-30 seller. What that means, selling is only 30%, 70% sometimes listening, everything. So talking about your feature, time on asking questions, building rapport. So these are things you have to keep focusing on that and develop rapport, which is basically a non-verbal skill. Without speaking, what is the body language? What are the signs? How do you repeat them? How do you mirror their conversation? So these things will be a lot more important, especially on the video. And finally, what is the metrics? You have to focus on the right metrics, we say. This is going to be very important. In the remote selling, the advantage is a lot of metrics you can get it. There are tons of metrics you get on remote sales compared to face-to-face. Everything, how much people have watched, how much people are responding. You can record every conversation. But what are the things you should focus to make your sales success? So if you really see, right from the leads generation to the prospecting, customer sales, there are different stages based on your sales. You can collect a lot of metrics. So you have to choose the good metrics where you can actually, depending on the goal, what you have, you have to choose the right metrics. But metrics, I will tell you, there are two things. One is what we call as a lag metrics, which is more of how much of your pipeline is built over the time, how much conversion is happening, engagement, sales velocity, or number of revenue and everything. But then there is a qualitative metric or a lead metric. So what is this? Like how effective you are doing throughout the sales. Is there what's the engagement time? What's the lead scores? How good your quality of the leads? And what are the closing and negotiation skills? So I think some of these things measuring is not easy, but the trick is if you measure these things, you can definitely improve your quantitative metrics. So let me give you one good example how you have to do this. One is like, okay, if you are get 20 new logos by March 31st, 2020, or maybe 21, I would rather say. If this was your measure, I would say this is a lag measure where end of March 2030, March 31st, 2021, you will know whether you have got 20 new logos or not. Now, how do you do this? What is another measure is, okay, I want to make 300 decision makers. So that is again one more metric, or I want to set up 5 meetings per week. So both of these lag measure because only after they happen you will know. But then there are other ways you can also do is, if measure how many follow-ups you have made. This is something which is completely in your control. This is influenceable and predictive. So if you decide that to set up one meeting, I have to follow up prospects for 5 times, this is something you can control and manage. Or measure the effectiveness of meeting time that's spent. So maybe in a call, in the initial discovery call or in the presentation, you have to see how effective is your time. Are you improving your time spent with client, or maybe you're listening more time? All these things you can measure, which gives you a much more influenceable and predictive scores so that you can start improving. So this is something which is, I would say, a lot of most important effect can bring if you really want to improve on your behavior side or the skill side of that. So this is a lead measure to lag measure where you want to measure these things. So this is all the 6 things we wanted to cover on that. Now, let's see. Okay, I want to also say that when the rate of change, this is a good quote I want to end with this, is when the rate of change outside is faster than rate of change inside, the death is near. What this means is, I hope everyone agrees that there is a lot of changes happening outside in the market, whether the way the buyers are changing or the markets are behaving, new competitor ending. But the key thing is how to navigate these changes only through how much you are willing to change within your systems, your processes, your skills, or companies, the way they approach your customers. I think those are the change. And the faster you change that compared to outside, the success is much higher. The slower you change, the success is going to be a lot less. So this is what I wanted to present on this.